Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Shaila. We are holding. We're holding in the middle of the sugya of Kiddush, and we're actually going to finish it up at Mitzvah Shem Bli Neder tomorrow. I hope to finish up the sugya of Kiddush. What are we going to start next? That's a good shaila. Maybe we'll ask the Olam what they want to do next. We'll figure out a good topic for the Olam. Yeah. We'll see. Oh, good morning. Two last shailas, Rabbi Isai. We're holding in the sugya of Kiddush b'mokim Suda. Kiddush b'mokim Suda. So let's just go over because we're going to continue today. Last week on Thursday, if I remember correctly, we started the idea of Kiddush b'mokim. Today we have to discuss the idea of Suda. Which means we gave two explanations to what means Kiddush b'mokim Suda. Okay? We said number one, it has to be that when I make Kiddush and I eat whatever Suda means, which we'll discuss today, has to be in that mokim, in that location, in that area where I made Kiddush. We said so much as that lachatchila, it should be in the exact same mokim, in the same table, in the same area, in the same corner, as opposed to moving from one area to the other area. Room to room, house to house, we spoke about that also. That was one definition of Kiddush b'mokim Suda. The other definition we gave was Kiddush b'mokim Suda means la'alta, immediately. That means when I make Kiddush, I have to immediately have a Suda. Okay, we gave a few different shiurim over there. The most makel were definitely Yotza. But the idea is that straight after making Kiddush, both on Friday night and Shabbos day, number one, I should have my Suda, whatever defines a Suda, which we'll discuss today. And number two, it should be exactly in the mokum that I made Kiddush. L'chatchila, unless I had asked to move to a different corner, and that could be different. So that's the basic idea of Kiddush b'mokum Suda. Today I want to discuss now the last line, the last word, and that is Suda. What is the definition of a Suda? What defines a Suda that makes it Kiddush b'mokum Suda, which means, Chaim, I'm now allowed to continue eating because I had Kiddush b'mokum Suda. It means I was Yotze Kiddush. By the way, if we're not Yotze Kiddush b'mokum Suda, Akiva, we're not Yotze Kiddush. And if we're not Yotze Kiddush, how are you allowed to eat? So you understand that this is very important to know what is the definition of Kiddush b'mokum Suda so that I'm Yotze Kiddush, Aaron Dov. Once I'm Yotze Kiddush, now I can continue eating. But if I was never Yotze Kiddush, I can't eat. Understand? So it's very important to know the definition, Duvi, of Kiddush b'mokum Suda. Okay? So let's start like this, Rabbi Isai. The Torah brings down in Siman Reish Ayin Gimel a Shitas HaGaonim. The Shitas HaGaonim, which by the way, if you look at the Aruch HaShulchan and Siman Reish Ayin Gimel, he calls this Shita a huge Chiddush. That's what he says. And the Shitas HaGaonim says that this, when we say that a person requires Kiddush b'mokim Suda, does not mean Ya'eh, that he has to have his entire Suda right after Kiddush. It doesn't mean that, even though that's Posh B'Shat. Ben Yimaskim, Posh B'Shat. Kiddush b'mokim Suda means you have a Suda, right? Yaketzvi. Zug the Shitas HaGaonim. No, I don't have to have Shleimalah, my entire Suda after Kiddush to be Yotza Kiddush b'mokim Suda. Rather, says the Torah b'shem the Shitas HaGaonim, if I have what's called a Dover Mu'at, a small amount, whatever that means, then I can be Yotza. One of the examples that the Shitas HaGaonim brings, which is brought down in the Torah, which the Aruch HaShulchan says is a Chiddush, is a kois of yayin. That when a person Rafal drinks a kois of yayin, he's Yotza Kiddush b'mokim Suda, and even if he eats nothing, that's a Suda. Which would mean, according to that, and we'll define the definition in a moment of exactly what that means and how much you have to drink, but the idea, Elimelech, is that when I drink a kois of yain, that's my Suda. So Mimele, when I make Kiddush and drink wine, Kiddush b'mokim Suda, I can now go to my friend's house and have a Suda now. I don't have to eat any mezainis or any challah or anything of it because I was Yotza Kiddush b'mokim Suda. Is that you with me? Clear. Okay. So now the question is, okay, very, very nice. Very nice, but how much wine do I have to drink in order to be Yotza? Right, Menachem? That's the kasha. So, the Shulchan Aruch says very simple, and the Posha Pshat in Shulchan Aruch is Shoysa Kois Yayin. It's the Lashon, which is mashma that you drink a cup of wine and you're going to be Yotza. Comes along the Mogen Avram explained by the Levushei Srod, that even though there's a machloikas how much liquid a person has to drink in order to be chayiv in a bracha achreina, over here, by Kiddush B'Makom Suda Tuli, everyone's masking mitzvah revius. As I pass the Levushei Srod explaining the Mogen Avraham. It's a revius of wine. That means the posher pshat is, you drink one revius of yayin after Kiddush. You have now been yotze Kiddush B'Makom Suda. I can now leave the building, go somewhere else, and eat my meal somewhere else. I don't have to eat mazonos, I don't have to wash, or nothing. Now, the problem is, even though that's Posher Pshat and Shulchan Aruch, the Bach and the Levush both bring down that that's not enough. That's what you have to drink for Kiddush. For Hilchas Kiddush, you need a revius to be Yotze Kiddush. We spoke about that already. But if you want to now do Kiddush B'Makom Suda, that one revius is not enough, and you need to drink a revius apart from what you drink, the Mole Lugmov of Kiddush. The Aruch HaShulchan brings the Even Oizer also, that learns Pshat the Shulchan Aruch, it means one revius, and the Aruch HaShulchan's Lashon is Hasoymech Alav Lo Hifsid, Nish Gefährlich. It's okay. Aber the Meister, the Mishnah Berurah says that it's most lechatchila, especially Friday night, we're dealing with Kiddush D'Oraisa, to drink a double revius. 2 reviusim. Right, especially Friday night, you drink true reviusim in that case, and if you drink true reviusim, you yotze Kiddush B'Makom Suda. Shulchan Aruch Harav, Ham Banach, goes to Yutzat of the Heilige Balatanya, and the Shulchan Aruch Harav that we'll speak about in Mitzvah Shem tonight, he holds you have one, Mikadin one is enough, but he says toiv to drink another one. Right, that's what he says over there. Now, if that's the case, that's number one. So we have over here, we have definitely what to be soymech on to drink one revius, shaya. But Agavad the Mishnah Berurah, Shulchan Aruch Harav, toiv to drink another revius. Once I drink another revius, I'm yotze Kiddush B'Makom Suda. Shlomi, is this clear? Gavaldik. Comes along Reb Kiva Eiger, the Heilige Reb Kiva Eiger. And Reb Kiva Eiger brings a drisha. That the Reb Kiva Eiger brings a drisha that says, Lefi Shitas Harosh, that the Rosh holds the only way to be Yotze Zachariah Kiddush B'Makom Suda is what? With bread, with actual, at least Heiminim, mazonos also, but you need something lemaisa substantial like bread or mazonos. Zug Reb Kiva Eiger, and there's a reason for that because it needs bracha b'mkoim or whatever it is. Memela Yain's not going to help. According to Reb Kiva Eiger, Yain's not going to help. It's not going to work. Comes along the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, and the Mishnah Berurah paskins that he's choishish for Reb Kiva Eiger, and he says only use yayin b'makom Kiddush b'makom Suda b'shas adchak. That means if you're stuck and you've got no mazonos, or you've got no bread and you're not going to be washing and you cannot wash, what should I do to be yotze Kiddush b'makom Suda b'shas adchak? Psak of the Mishnah Berurah, drink 2 reviusim to be yotze al shitas, and you're good in that case. Now the question is, does this have to be wine, or can I also use grape juice? Because l'chayra, if we said previously, Chaim, that just like wine works for Kiddush, grape juice also works. Soichet odom eshkel shalanovim, the Gemara says. So I'm allowed to use grape juice for Kiddush. Can I use grape juice for Kiddush b'Makom Suda, or not? By the way, this is very negaya for someone that's allergic, right? Someone that's allergic to bread, to mazonos, to wheat, flour, whatever it may be, different allergies, right? This is very negated to someone like that. It's also negated to someone that's at a Kiddush and he can't even get to the mazonos, but he wants to be Yotze Kiddush and run out and eat somewhere else, and he wants to be Yotze Kiddush B'Makom Suda. So the shayla is, can you use grape juice? So the Meister Rav Elyashiv held a big Kiddush. Rav Elyashiv held that yayin is the only thing that can be Kaveh Suda. Yayin is called Kiddush B'Makom Suda. Grape juice, so Rav Elyashiv legabe these halachas as a din of apple juice. No shaychas. As I paskin Rav Elyashiv halacha lemaisa, I soichet odom eshken shalanovim. Very nice. That's for Kiddush. As I paskin Rav Elyashiv, oh, but Kiddush B'Makom Suda, that's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. Avadi says for a choila, it could be different, whatever. But then in the most lechatchila way, Rav Elyashiv held that yayin is the only thing that can help you for Kiddush B'Makom Suda, and not grape juice. Rav Moshe holds there's no difference between wine or grape juice, and according to Rav Moshe Feinstein the Maisa, a person is allowed to use grape juice, have 2 reviusim, and yotze Kiddush B'Makom Suda. I asked my Rebbe in Hilchos Shabbos, Rav Falk, his Yortzeit is right now as we speak, right now. Rav Falk's Yortzeit, unbelievable Yid. He was Isaac, and he was one of the very few people that I spoke to that was mamish holding in every single Mishnah Berurah. unbelievable. His bekiyas, his understanding, his havana in halacha was almost unparalleled. And I spoke to many people. Rav Falk's klarkeit in the Mishnah Berurah, in the halacha, in the understanding of a halacha, in the mitzias, how he would sit in his house for hours, taking apart things, seeing things, testing things. That's what he did because he wanted to understand the halacha from the deepest way. Unbelievable yid. I was Zoycha Baruch Hashem to speak to him for many hours, to Mishamish him when he was here in Eretz Yisrael as well. It was an unbelievable experience. I missed him terribly because he was someone with such klarkeit that is definitely hard to come by. Anyway, so I asked Rav Falk, are you allowed to use grape juice, Kiddush, Makom Suda? He said to me, yes. I said, Rav Elyashiv. So he said, no, Rav Elyashiv's a chumrah, you don't have to be machmir for Shittas Rav Elyashiv. That's what he told me. So if that's the case, we could definitely be saimach that grape juice does work. Again, Mishnah Berurah b'shas atchak, to use it as Kiddush Makom Suda. Rabbi said, let's move on. What about using mezainis? Right, now obviously, if we're making Kiddush and we are washing on bread, Menachem, then there's no shayla, right? Because we're washing on bread, that's the Suda. But what about taking a piece of cake? Is taking a piece of cake, Chaim, considered to be Kiddush Makom Suda, which will now mean that I'm Yotze Kiddush, I can now go somewhere else and have my Suda. That's what it means to be Yotze Kiddush Makom Suda. So the Magen Avraham brings, in Sivkot and Yod Aleph, the Magen Avraham brings, and he says that if a person eats from the Heiminim, right? Person eats one of the 5 types of wheat, barley, spelt, v'cholei, so he is Yaitza. Why? Because that is considered to be a Suda, and as I paskin tuli the Mag Mishnah Berurah halacha lemaisa, that when you sit here in yeshiva and you have a piece of mezainis after the Kiddush, you were Yaitza Kiddush b'makom Suda. I will tell you, however, Reb Kiva Eiger is machmeh, and Reb Kiva Eiger holds that mezainis does not work in this case. It's not kaviyas Suda, and that's why you need pas. And the Be'alocha, the Chofetz Chaim brings from the Meiser Rav, from the Vilna Gaon, that the Vilna Gaon was also machmeh, only to have a Suda of pas after Kiddush in order to be Yaitza Kiddush from Makom Suda. Otherwise you're not Yaitza. So again, Duvi, there are many people who will not make Kiddush and have a mezainis al pi Reb Kiva Eiger or al pi the Vilna Gaon, because you're not Yaitza mezainis. You need Suda's pas mamish. Now I will tell you as well that there are even those that are machmeh not to do that, that they don't do that, or those that are mekel, that will have a mezainis, which is definitely the minig ha'olam, is to be mekel and have a kiddush, make mezainis and yotze kiddush makom suda. Lefi Reb Kiva Eiger and the Vilna Gaon, they're going to make kiddush again right before their main suda. So right before they have their main suda, people wonder, you don't have to make kiddush, we already heard kiddush. Why are you making kiddush again? I've been asked this question. Why are you making kiddush again? We made kiddush already. We had kiddush in yeshiva. Why are you making again by the dining room right before we eat? And the answer is to be yotze the shitas of those that hold that Kiddush b'makom Suda is a Suda mamish, and a mezainis is not a Suda mamish. So even though the minig is to be makel, or we are taka makel, that yes, you can have Kiddush b'makom Suda with mezainis, and you're yotze 100% Kiddush b'makom Suda. There's an Indian, according to Reb Kiva Eiger and others, to be makel, to be machmeh and make Kiddush once again right before the Suda. And for those people, and there are those many out there, Choshev Yidden, that dafka do not make Kiddush and have mezainis, they will only wash on bread al pi the Reb Kiva Eiger and al pi the Vilna Gaon. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we'd like Be'ez Hashem to finish the halachos of Kiddush and move on to the shaila of eating before Kiddush. Have a wonderful day.